Steven. You okay?
I'm good.
Are you?
Yeah. No, I'm really good.
Steven's all ready for our NBA free agency special that's going on right now. But real quick, before we get to the NBA news, because it'll be coming fast and furious here, because, hey, tampering's not a thing. Who do you think actually has a better golf game, Trump or Biden?
Probably Trump. I haven't really paid too much attention to their golf swings. But
apparently the two of them do. God, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, I had to turn that off. I didn't
even watch. I saw the clips, but good God, of just the back in the day, I was a 6 handicap. There was no way you were an 8 handicap. Well, okay, whatever it was, but if you and I play, I only one condition: you have to carry your own bag. Think you're up for it? I can't. I know you swing. Your swing is. You got a terrible swing. Worst swing I ever saw.
I've seen you swing. 8 handicap. That's a lie.
Yeah, that was probably the worst thing I've ever seen between two potential presidents. Anyway, fuck that. A lot is going on in the NBA right now. Literally right now, NBA free agency is going on. I got the notifications ready to go, and we will give you the latest. Just checking out everything. Some guys have already signed. Looks like
it's just Luke Cornett.
Yeah, okay. 1-year deal with the Boston Celtics. All right. We will be giving you all the updated stuff. Ooh, Kevin Love, going back to the Heat. 2 years, $8 million. All right.
And we also had James Harden, too. We also had James Harden.
James Harden's re-signing with the Clippers as well. So we're recording this on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So if you listen to the podcast, things might sound a little dated, but we're doing this in real time because we are preparing for this to be the day that Klay Thompson, unfortunately, leaves the Golden State Warriors. And we'll just catch you up to speed on the latest. So we were preparing for this, but Shams and Anthony Slater reported yesterday that the Warriors are preparing to lose Klay Thompson in free agency and are willing to do a sign and trade. The interesting part about that is the teams that are linked to Klay Thompson. We all know about the Magic. We all know about the Dallas Mavericks. Apparently, they're going hard to get him. And I guess the Denver Nuggets are a new team that has come up in the recent days. 76ers as well. But the thing that makes me angry in this whole thing, and I love Klay Thompson, but sign and trade with the Los Angeles Lakers would be just awful, and him going to that team would be awful. LeBron James opted out of his contract yesterday. He is willing to do a mid-level deal in order to get Klay Thompson. So that's where things stand currently with the Golden State Warriors. One more thing. Sorry, Steven, just to give you one more thing on the updates. Everybody was waiting for Paul George. Paul George is not happening with the Warriors. He opted out of his contract. The only way they could get him was through a trade if he opted into his contract. And the Warriors do not have enough salary cap to trade for Paul George. So Paul George will not be coming to the Warriors. So with everything I just said, Steven, what are your thoughts?
Just want to reiterate that Klay going to the Lakers is the worst thing for you. For you. Not for him.
Yeah,
but
talk about how much I get that, Steven. I get that, but for Warrior fans, we all agree
we can't talk about how much we love Klay Thompson and then say him going to his childhood team is the worst thing ever. It's probably his dream.
Of course. And you know what? Like I said, I wish nothing but the best for Klay Thompson, but also I could be pissed that he's going to the Lakers. If he goes to any other team, hey, but Lakers, ugh. I get it, though. I absolutely get it. If he goes to the Lakers, he wants to stick it to the Warriors. I get it. I just hope it doesn't happen.
That's fair. That's fair. Do you believe that it's him that says he's disrespected by the Warriors? That's one of the words that was described in these contract negotiations. Do you think that was him? You believe that was him?
Yeah, I do. I think the whole thing of I've been listening to a lot of people talk this past week, and the overarching theme seems to be that Klay Thompson believes that he should be going down with the ship of Steph Curry and Draymond Green, and the fact that he's not included in their plans for the future or given contracts that are like 20-year, 1 year, 20 years, whatever, or sorry, not 20 years, 1 year, 20 million is disrespectful to him. So latest from Woj, real quick. Klay Thompson plans to have discussions with the Mavericks, Lakers, and Clippers in the opening hours of free agency. I have to believe that he's already been talking to those teams, but okay.
Oh God, we're gonna get so many non-reports from Woj. This is
I know.
This is a brutal time for him, man. Him and Shams going head to head in the NBA reporter battle. Something I used to do on the pregame show back in the day for the 5 a.m. I used to do a couple of wrestler voices and make it seem like they're in the ring with each report. And I believe when I did that, that was back in like 2019 or 2021 rather. Back when I did that, I think Shams won by a landslide. So it's a big year for Woj.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hard time for Woj. I think he's just going to take every little piece of information and just throw it against the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I do think that Klay Thompson does feel disrespected. I think it's, like I said last time, I think it's a lot like Ray Allen. I think that he, for what he's done, he feels like he should be a lifer, and that's not going to happen. Don't know if they ever gave him a contract. Don't know. I think, when you feel disrespected by a team that you've been playing for your entire career, then maybe it's time to go on and move to a different, location, play for a different organization. I mean, Tom, I think, put it best where he was like, you think Klay will ever just get over this? Like, if he signed back with the Warriors, he probably just mentally couldn't get it over the fact that he feels so disrespected. So maybe it's best for everybody that it's time to move on.
Yes, I think for both parties, like a change of scenery is needed. It's crossed the finish line. The Warriors and Klay, the relationship is over, and that's fine. That's fine. In this time now where the Warriors are kind of in an impossible spot, because you keep Klay, then you're paying him $30 million a year, and he's playing for at least 3 more years. You don't know what he has left in the tank after this season, where it was just so up and down. I think I saw Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer kind of get chastised on social media talking about Klay's bad attitude. I don't think it was like a bad attitude that he had this season. I just think he had a real tough time more than any other season coping with the fact that he's not the same player that he used to be. And that's okay. That's okay. Klay, I think, doesn't get enough credit for how competitive he actually is and how lofty the expectations he set for himself truly are. So I think it is time for a change of scenery, and whether it's who's Woj saying, whether it's the Clippers or the Lakers or the Magic or the Mavericks, whatever, Sixers, whoever it is, just hope he finds happiness, man. That's where I'm at with Klay. I just want to be happy.
I'm with you, man, but I will also acknowledge that Klay did have a bad attitude this year. He did.
Yeah.
He cost the team games selfishly. There was a game where he fouled somebody in the last 2 minutes that Steve Kerr was pissed off about it, and that's the whole reason he benched him the next game. And he was too focused on himself and not the rest of the team. So, look, if it happens while we're alive, we will not eulogize Klay Thompson. He's not dying today. But if he does leave, hey, man, I think this is also a time to remember the good times with Klay Thompson. I am so thankful for everything that he's brought to this organization and the 4 championships and everything off the court, too. I loved his goofy nature. Him doing the interview in New York with the scaffolding, or, China Klay, the toaster, his boat stuff. Rocco, he's just goofy, and I think we all can relate to him just being kind of, a superstar, but also kind of not acting like it. He's just kind of, just a lovable dude. We all love him. And that's why this is going to be hard, but it is time.
All those nicknames you mentioned wouldn't be possible without Klay having that attitude, without his persona. Like, think about that. That scaffolding thing, you go back and look at it, it's really not as funny as you remember it to be. At the time, it's like, at the time, you're thinking that this dude is like the #1 comedian in the world. Like, oh my God, he could do no wrong. All he's just saying is, yeah, I walked under some buildings and some of it fell off. And so, you try to avoid that. And we all just thought it was the funniest thing. In reality, it's not that funny if it's anyone else, but it's because it's Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
If anyone else is signing to a toaster, I don't know. I don't know if it would have the same charm, the same aura if it was any other player. If it was Klay Thompson just randomly going to China after his shoe deal with Anta and becoming like a star out there, no one knew that would happen with Klay Thompson. Just such a unique person, such a unique player.
And I think Ernie makes a good point here. That Klay Thompson has been around for 5 years. Yeah, I mean, things changed when he got hurt. There's no doubt about that. I think that the fun-loving Klay kind of went away, and it's been sad to see that. Um, but I hope he finds that happiness again. So we'll see what happens today. To catch you up on the speed, what else has been going on? Uh, Chris Paul will not be a Golden State Warrior anymore, and we kind of knew that. There was talk about a trade, but honestly, I didn't think any team wanted to trade for. How old is Chris Paul? 39 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, like, I get it. Like, I didn't think. I'm like, if you're going to move him, there maybe have been some team that was interested, but if the Warriors don't want to pay him $30 million, then I didn't think any other team wanted to pay him $30 million. So yeah, Chris Paul has been waived, and he is not going to be. He's a free agent now. He will not be a part of any trade negotiations that the Warriors try to, come up with. And the reality is the Warriors may be shit out of luck this offseason. That very well could be on the table too. We'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, Chris Paul, no surprise to me, has been released from the Warriors.
I thought it was like the worst kept secret that he'd be gone. Yeah. I didn't even know that trades were in the backs of people's minds. I know that they didn't get anything in return for him, but what did Chris Paul really do last year to warrant a trade that would have another team paying him $30 million? He was hurt for a majority of the season. Sure, he was an anchor in the from the bench and was the veteran presence and a veteran voice that was needed. But I think it proved this year that he's probably not going to win a championship during his time in the NBA. Like, he's not playing that type of basketball anymore. But I think people are just trying to find something to complain about. Like, that's where what that comes down to. If you weren't thinking immediately when you heard that he had a non-guaranteed contract, which either means they pay him and trade him, or they just let him walk and waive that, like, you had to have thought that they were going to waive that contract. You had, if you thought that any other team was going to be giving something up for Chris Paul, when in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, teams are getting younger. Teams are playing with a lot higher pace now. Teams are getting faster. Kind of is redundant, but there's not really much of a need for a guy like Chris Paul anymore, other than, yes, he's a future Hall of Famer and he knows a thing or two about the sport. He's a very high IQ player, but as far as just like the talent and where he's at now, sure, he can give you that little move where he takes the ball up the court, and then he just drifts over to maybe to the baseline and hits that little mid-range jumper. But other than that, what kind of value is he bringing? Not that much to warrant a trade. Maybe enough to warrant like the mid-level exception, but not enough to warrant a trade.
The only thing that really Chris Paul helped out with the Warriors was getting Jordan Poole off the books. That's what this whole thing was about. It was a salary cap dump. And, I'm trying to think of highlights of him in the one season with the Warriors, but I really don't. I mean, the highlight basically was this time a year ago when people were asking him, are you going to start? And he goes, you coaching? So that's, it was good for getting rid of Jordan Poole, and I know that was, looking back on that, kind of a weird deal, but his career hasn't panned out with the Wizards either. So, yeah, I mean, at least it reunited him with Steph, and they're on good terms again. There was a lot of speculation that Chris Paul had some animosity towards Steph Curry because of just him coming up and, Chris Paul not being the number one point guard in the league anymore. But, yeah, I don't think anybody expected Chris Paul to be part of the Warriors going forward. So, yeah, not really surprised at all, to be honest. And I don't think, there was talk about maybe the Spurs, or I guess he may have been included in this Clipper trade. So let me give you details on that real quick, Steven. So I said that Paul George not coming to the Warriors. He opted out of his contract. So right now he's either going to sign with the Clippers, go back to them, sign with the 76ers, or the Orlando Magic. Sounds like the Orlando Magic are really big fish hunting, as Brian Windhorst put it. But the details on what transpired between Paul George and the Warriors. According to Tim Kawakami, there was some combination, but not definitely all, Wiggins, CP3, Kuminga, and Moody, plus a future first-round pick on the table for a trade with Chris Paul. Chris Paul was definitely in on going to the Warriors. Steph Curry and Draymond Green were 100% in on Paul George coming to the Warriors. However, the Clippers just did not want to do the deal. And I know a lot of people are going to blame Mike Dunleavy and say like he's not getting anything done. You can't really blame him for that. And there's also a conflicting report from Tim Kawakabe in the same article saying that it may have never gotten to the point in negotiations where Kuminga and Wiggins were being offered in the first place. I don't think I think the reality is, and I don't have any problem with this, I think the Clippers just said we don't want to help out the Warriors. And that's okay. You shouldn't do that shit. Whenever I see trades between teams in the same conference or the division, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like a couple years ago when James Harden got traded from the Nets to the 76ers, I was like, why are they doing that? Even this past offseason with the Giants, I thought it was stupid that the Padres just let Bob Melvin walk. But that's what baseball does. I actually respect the Clippers for saying, no, fuck you, Warriors. We're not doing a deal with you.
We also have to realize that Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga are expected to sign contracts. So what you'd be doing is you'd be offloading Paul George. Whichever team he goes to is probably going to give him the max.
Yep.
You'd offload him. Then you get a couple of players in return. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody are going to want contract extensions. What if it doesn't work? I do think the Clippers are kind of foolish to not do a trade and get something for him. I'm surprised there haven't been more reports about other teams maybe inquiring for Paul George. I wonder how many actual proposals there were. I'm not seeing. Have you seen anything besides the Warriors on that?
I have not, and I think the Warriors were the only ones willing to trade for him because they were the only ones that needed to trade for him. Desperate. Teams like the 76ers can now play this game in free agency. So right. I think, I do think Paul George, if you look back on his history and podcasts and whatnot, he talks about how he would have loved to have been a Golden State Warrior. It sounds like he was down to do it. But in the end, well, it's not Jerry West anymore. Rest in peace. I don't know who really runs the Clippers now, but they were not willing to do a negotiation with Mike Dunleavy.
They would have been the Golden State podcasters had Paul George come to the team. No, I do think that they needed to make a move. And I was down with the Paul George thing. But I'm also going to maintain, and I know this kind of gives me an outlet here, and I really, I'm not feeling too strong one way or another. I did want them to make the Paul George trade, but I'm not going to be going through this season lamenting the fact that they did not complete the trade.
Yeah.
Like I'm not surprised it didn't happen, especially when you think about the contract extensions. Like these guys want to get paid.
Yeah.
Like you don't have the flexibility right now of being able to trade them, and they still got 2 years left on their rookie deal, and they're not eligible until this next summer. No, they're eligible. Aren't they? Are they eligible next year or this year? They're eligible this year.
Yeah, Kuminga is eligible for an extension. Yes.
So I just
doesn't mean they have to do it though.
That's a huge gamble. Meanwhile, when the Clippers are all doing these moves, I know I'm getting off topic here, but Kawhi Leonard celebrating his 33rd birthday in Costa Rica. I don't know if you saw those photos.
Saw those. He's got a new hairdo, huh? Growing the hair out.
I don't know if it's as good as Kyle Shanahan's, but we don't need to get to that in this podcast.
Oh, we can. He's got the mustache going for Christian McCaffrey's wedding, huh?
He's got the slicked back.
Pull it
hair
up, Steven. Steven, we got plenty of time here. This may not. I know we're all jumping to get to some news, but we'll see what actually transpires today. We'll see.
Yeah, you asked about the legal tampering. God, isn't this such an indictment on the Atlanta Falcons and how they were able to get that deal with Kirk Dunn?
Seriously,
10 minutes as soon as it opened.
Seriously, I think that it's more so that Kirk in the press conference said, "Well, we were talking, about flights and everything." I was like, "Dude, everyone knows people tamper. Like, where do you think all these reports are coming from with Klay Thompson and the Magic? You don't think this shit's been going on for months? Come on." What did they say in the press conference? Yeah, we were trying to get on JetBlue to go from Minnesota to Atlanta. It's like, you fucking idiot! Don't say that.
Oh God, it's one of my favorite things to have. I think there's so much funny in that. I think there's so much comedy in that whole idea that he's trying to be like this affable, easily approachable Kirk Cousins individual to the media, and he's just trying to heap praise on his new teammates, the new staffers that he met with illegally.
Yeah. You know what? But I will say, shouldn't we just be honest about it now? I tweeted this out before we were hopping on. Can't we be honest about tampering now? What's the big deal? Honestly, what's the big deal? Like, we knew that Shohei was going to sign with the Dodgers for months. That's been a rumor for what, like 2 years since he wasn't traded at the trade deadline in 2022?
Right.
Like, what's the big deal?
I guess it's trying to maintain integrity.
Yeah, but there is no integrity in any of these sports.
I know, but like you're trying to keep whatever integrity that the people think that you have. But maybe
I guess
maybe in this social media age, and we get our breaking news in an instant, and now these insiders are being kind of used as pawns in their negotiations. I think that this is a time where it has all come to light that there is a bunch of illegal tampering, like that stuff with Woj. They're going to open the contract negotiations talking to these teams. Okay. All right. The fact that the Magic weren't included in that.
Yes.
I'm like, so are the Magic getting it out there that Klay's talking to these other teams, and they're trying to drive up the price, or is his agent?
I'm glad you said that, Steven. That's 100% what's going on. I think that Klay's agent is releasing these 4 teams. I think the Magic have a contract given to Klay, and at the very last second, Klay's agent's like, "Hey, we're talking to these other teams. Let's see what's out there, and then we'll see if the Magic come up with even more money." That's exactly what's going on right now.
Yep. Yeah, I believe so. God damn, it's gonna be the end of Klay. That's wild.
I know, man. I know, and it hasn't hit me yet because it won't hit me until the season starts, to be completely honest. Like, we'll go in thinking like, oh yeah, another Warriors season, Steph, Draymond, Klay. It's like, oh shit, there is no Klay. Right. It really won't hit me for a while. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what actually transpires today.
So, so let's do this then. I mean, I'm sure we got plenty of time, but do you have anyone in mind? Because it looks like the Warriors, after waiving Chris Paul and getting $30 million off the books, it looks like they're under that little luxury tax apron. But there are other unrestricted free agents out there, and there's one that I have in mind. It's not gonna. Okay. This isn't one that I think is. If you have any unrestricted free agents that you want them to sign, like, please by all means. But for me, I got one, and it looks like the Raptors are going to let go of him. I still think he's got a little bit left in the tank. He's a kind of average 38 to 40% three-point shooter. He can give you 15 to 20 points a game. What do you think if they signed Gary Trent Jr.?
Got to be honest, not very familiar with his game. You would know better than me, Steven. What do you think about him?
Well, I've kind of thought since he was with the Blazers that he would almost be perfect for the Warriors, just in what he's able to do. I don't think he's going to win them a championship or anything, but I think if you're going to add somebody, I think Gary Trent Jr. would be a nice piece, a nice accompaniment to this team. It's not going to get anyone super excited. I mean, it's Gary Trent Jr., and I know people are going to be like, he's no Paul George, or imagine what you could have gotten, or imagine what you could have gave up. But as I'm looking at unrestricted free agents, and we have to face the reality that these are potential moves. I don't know if they would sign him. I think I think he could be in line for somewhere up to a $20 to $25 million deal, and you'd essentially be paying him the money you didn't want to pay Klay. But I think there's tons of upside there with Trent Jr., just 25 years old.
Sorry, I'm just seeing. So all Chris Haynes, I guess, went on NBA TV and reported that the Bulls proposed Wiggins and Paul for Zach LaVine, and the Warriors said no.
What?
That is what Chris Haynes is saying. Yeah, on NBA TV. Bulls proposed Wiggins and Paul for Zach LaVine, and Golden State said no and waived Chris Paul.
Really?
I'm listening. Hold on. Yeah, I'm listening to the audio right now. Hold on. I'm gonna do this a little not great. We'll listen to the audio together. You ready?
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
I want to give some context, some background real quick on what happened with Chris Paul. They wanted to see if Chris Paul would agree to push the guaranteed date back again to give them more time. Chris Paul in this camp, they were not amenable to that. I was told that the Chicago Bulls were trying to get something going with the Golden State Warriors, trying to get a Zach LaVine package together. What I was told, it could have been a Zach LaVine for Chris Paul or Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors, from how it was explained to me, the Warriors, they didn't feel that was an adequate amount for a deal structure. So things didn't go as planned. So that fell through.
Why does everyone not like Zach LaVine right now? That's one thing I'm wondering about.
Can't say I've watched as much Bulls basketball, but they should have been a hell of a lot better than they were this year, the past couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean, he was injured, and I like Zach LaVine. I mean, I saw that before we came on here that the Warriors were going to turn their attention to Zach LaVine in a possible trade or Brandon Ingram, and that's been a conflicting thing because they've been on Brandon Ingram, they haven't been on Brandon Ingram. Who knows? Steven, sorry, who was the person you said? Gary Trent Jr.?
Yeah.
I don't really know if there is a good answer. And I think that Warriors fans have to brace themselves that maybe this offseason it's not going to be great. Because yesterday was a bad day. You found out you're not getting Paul George, and you found out that Klay Thompson's leaving. So I know we all want the best for Steph Curry and the amount of time that he's left. And I know that everybody's going to just throw shade at Mike Dunleavy if that does not happen. But it's very hard. And I don't think the Warriors did a very good job of planning for the future. So I would just brace everybody for this offseason may suck, and the Warriors may not be a good team going forward.
Didn't we know this was coming, though?
That's why I know you have kind of said, like, Derek, they need to go all in. But my whole mentality has been, I get that, but Steph has got his rings. Maybe you build around Steph, or you maybe rebuild around Steph. Maybe you try it out with Steph and Kuminga and Draymond, and that's your team. I know it's not the best, but you got to tear it down a little bit to build it back up again. And maybe you look for Steph to, he may get frustrated that they don't win these next 2 seasons, but maybe you look for him to sign a long-term deal just to finish out his career with the Warriors. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to go well for this team going forward. I just don't.
There's not much they could do.
There's not.
There's not much they could do. They tried to take a swing on Paul George. We talked about this at the end of the season. Like you mentioned that you try to rebuild around Curry. I don't like if you think that's the best option, I'm not one to argue against it. But I just didn't think that the 3 options that they really had was going to get them back up to the top contending teams in the Western Conference. I thought maybe getting Paul George was the best option. But now that that's passed, I don't really know what they should do anymore. I don't really know what they need to do. I'm kind of glad that they are keeping whatever first-round picks they have for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to kind of analyze, dude. We haven't really, because we haven't seen this. Like, Warrior fans are in new territory right now, newfound territory. You haven't been in this situation where you're trying to keep a dynasty intact, or at least you're at the end of a dynasty and you're trying to savor whatever the last vestiges are of that dynasty.
Ooh, vestiges.
Steph Curry and Draymond. Like, I don't really think we know how they should do it either. Like, I don't think we know. We may know, but Mike Dunleavy's in a really hard position. I don't envy him.
I don't envy him either. And I think, Bob Myers kind of put it best on Thursday or whatever day it was, Wednesday last week before the draft, where he was like, I don't think Paul George is enough. I don't think there's really enough the Warriors can do. I think they're up Schitt's Creek because the West is just that good right now. And yeah, you want to be competitive. I still think they could be competitive with Steph and Draymond and Kuminga. I don't think this team is going to be awful to the point where they're not in playoff contention, but this, there's expectations. I think that teams the fans have gotten spoiled. I think that 2015 and on, that's what fans remember. No one remembers what happened prior to that. All of the losing during the Chris Cohan days, how much mediocrity or even below that this Warriors team had. So I think, yeah, it's going to suck. Like, nothing lasts forever. So I would say just everybody relax and enjoy what we had with the 4 championships. That's what I would say, but people are not gonna do that.
I can't believe this is random. I just can't believe Kevin Love is still in the league. The dude signed a 2-year, $8 million deal, and he's like, I think he's going to be 40 years old very, very soon.
Now, I will say this too. We did play that audio just right now of Chris Haynes.
He's only 35. Damn, why did I think he was older?
Mike Dunleavy?
No, Kevin Love.
Oh, Kevin Love. Okay. I'm going to say Mike Dunleavy's 35. Jesus. Felt bad that Joe Mazzulla was 35. I'll say this too. Chris Haynes is reporting there, but I'm glad we played the audio because that sounds a little. I heard this, I heard that, nothing really concrete. So I don't want to kill Mike Dunleavy for not pulling the trigger on a Zach LaVine trade just yet.
Here we go, Derek. I got one that's going to interest you. I got one.
Here we go.
There's a player who's an unrestricted free agent. Nicholas Batum.
Wait, he will not be returning to the 76ers?
There you go. There's an option.
All right, you want him?
No. Joke. Nicholas Batum, baby.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is this free agency class is not very good. It's just more the intrigue of what's going to happen with Klay and Paul George, basically, at this point.
There's Markelle Fultz, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jonas Valanciunas,
Malik,
Tyus Jones, Gary Harris, Robert Covington. God, this class would have been so sick in 2018.
Well, it sounds like the 76ers are going to go all in on Paul George and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope if they can land both those guys. It sounds like the Magic are interested in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
James Wiseman?
No. Do you want him?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, while we wait for some news, why don't we bring up a little bit of some Niner talk real quick?
Oh, I thought we were going to get into Quentin Post and what his future is with the Warriors. Post up.
By all means, Steven, give me your takes on Quentin Post.
I got nothing.
Yeah, me neither.
Second round pick, 52nd pick. What a weird second round for the Warriors. Just trade for Lindy Waters III.
Yeah.
Buy that pick back. Cool. And then get a bunch of guys who we just end up forgetting about because they're just stuck in the G League and eventually just go to another G League team.
And by the way, I love Aram here. Niner talk. Hey, listen, man. We'll get to some Raiders. Don't worry. Although I gotta be honest, what is there to get to right now with the Raiders?
We do our Raiders reflections once a week.
We do, and we will continue that. And yeah. I love Aram just hitting me up today, being like, "Steven was right, man. Nomny was a safety in Cal. I get it, man. You enjoyed the segment. I get it." You don't need to critique everything I said wrong.
Ernie, too. Giants took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. Yes, they did just win 10-4.
And if it wasn't for that, was it 10th inning or 11th inning yesterday? They could have swept them.
Yeah, that damn 10th inning, the bottom of the 10th. They should have
gave up 7 runs.
Patrick Bailey and Matt Chapman. God, bases loaded. How do you not knock somebody in? Whatever. It is what it is.
No, Aram, do not fret. We will have plenty of time to get to Raiders. Don't worry.
I will say, though, that this weekend series, there's a couple of things. Went to that game on Friday, right? And
thanks to me.
Yeah, thank you. But went to that game on Friday, and a lot of a range of emotions. At first, disgusted by the amount of Dodger blue I saw in that stadium. They absolutely took over. Like I honestly. I don't. Everyone always puts percentages on it. Like straight up, I'm in standing room only in the outfield in the bleachers. It looked like there was a solid 85% Dodger fans.
Yeah,
like all white jerseys. And Jesse at first, because the sun was kind of in our eyes. At first, she's like, "There's always Dodger fans here. What are you talking about?" And then when the sun went down behind the stadium and she sees all the way up to the third deck, it was covered. And unless everyone was wearing City Connect jerseys that night, which I highly doubt, it was so much Dodger blue, and it continued through the weekend. So first, disgust, and then happiness because the Giants went up. Then, of course, the Dodgers came back, and then there was the Orlando Serpeda where the crowd went silent, and we were sitting in front of these 2 diehards, the diehard Giants fans, and this one guy's significant other, she was just bawling her eyes out. It was super sad. And then of course the walk-off. I haven't been to a game like that where there's just been that range of emotion. Jimmy V, you laugh, you cry, you think. That's a whole day. That's a heck of a day.
Yeah.
Oh, did all the laughing and crying and thinking that day, and a lot of sleeping on Bart.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Man, unfortunately, a lot of great Giants passing away recently.
Yeah.
Obviously, Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda on Friday night. And yeah, I want to say I met Orlando one time, and just a nice guy, from what I remember. But yeah. You know what? He was at the 99 party. Remember that, Steven, at Bob Gallo's house? He came by for that. Yeah, he was there.
Oh, damn it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was there early in the morning. But
Oh.
but yeah, no, just sad. And the Giants did a great job of honoring him on Friday night, and they will be doing a remembrance of life for Willie Mays on July 8th, with no date, with no game that day. They'll be holding a ceremony for Willie Mays.
I know we're gonna get some Niners, but
yeah.
I just gotta mention, if you want any indication as to just how hungry NBA fans are once free agency starts up, dude, I opened up the notifications just to see if Shams or Woj said anything, and Shams has the live stream going on whatever his platform is. I don't want to say it because you should be tuned into Just Your Opinion, man, for your free agency stuff, even though we have no inside knowledge and we're more just reacting to all the news.
Who says I don't?
But maybe you do.
I got nothing.
Yeah, that stream has 250,000 or 750,000 people tuned in live watching that stuff.
Not surprised,
dude. You don't see
nothing. But nothing is going on right now.
Nothing going on. You don't see that with any other sport. NBA is so driven by social media. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, would you say NFL's kind of getting there now a little bit?
NFL's there, but it just feels like the NBA is so much easier to dissect on a day-to-day basis for all 82 games just by looking at the stats and by looking at social media. On with football, it's different because you can actually sit down once a week and watch these games. I don't think a lot of NBA fans watch all of these NBA games. Like, there's too many going on at the same time every single day.
I would argue that a lot of NBA fans just live for today as opposed to actually during the season.
True.
Everybody loves rumors.
Drama.
Yeah, I mean, it was 6 years ago where was it 6? Yeah, or no, 5 years ago where it was the summer of Kevin Durant leaving the Warriors, and that whole season was taken over by rumors that he was going to go to the Knicks, and he ended up going to the Knicks, but he went to the Nets, and that just ruined the season for me. It was fun. They went to the finals that year and lost to the Raptors, but it was taken over by NBA rumors. I think that was the first time where I thought, like, no one really cares about the actual season. It's all about the hypotheticals and all the trade speculation and rumors, and that's where I thought they kind of lost me on that.
Well, it was at the rise of player movement, right? Once player movement started to become super prevalent. Like, I remember being in Hawaii. I remember Paul George, after I think it was leaving the Pacers, and it was all about him when I was in Hawaii, and then he ended up going to the Thunder.
Yeah.
But I remember he was in, like, I think he was actually, funnily enough, like, kind of like Kawhi. I think he was in Costa Rica at the time or something like that.
I remember I was in LA. That was the summer that LeBron was going to go to the Lakers. And it was right after the Warriors won their championship, their third one. And I was in LA. I remember being on the beach and someone screamed out, "The Lakers just signed LeBron." Everyone went crazy. And I was so pissed off because all my friends were like, "Wow, I guess the Lakers are back." And I was like, "The fuck you talking about? We just won a championship. Fuck the Lakers." And that same day, I want to say JaVale McGee left the Warriors to go to the Lakers. But that same free agency time, when I remember with Paul George, was so he got traded to the Thunder, right? That offseason or before that?
Yes. Or am I thinking of that, or am I thinking after the Thunder?
You're thinking of 2017. So he got traded to the Thunder. There were rumors that he was going to go join LeBron in LA. And then they showed that video of Russell Westbrook and Paul George smoking cigars at some concert. And then Paul George jumps on stage and he's like, I ain't going nowhere, and signed a contract. And then then a rumor came, or then we got the Woj report that he's re-signing with the Thunder. And then that only lasted for like a year, and then he got traded to the Clippers.
Yeah, it was a trade to the Clippers that I'm thinking about. Just they could just go anywhere they want.
Yeah, basically. Okay, before not really anything going on at the moment, so we will discuss any news that pops up. But I do want to bring this up because, I mean, there's not a lot of stuff going on with the Niners either, but the one topic that keeps coming back up again is Brandon Ayuk and his contract negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
And the latest, I guess, that's, reporting is that Tom Pelissero went on the Insider Show, the only show, I guess, that's on NFL Network now, and said that the meeting went good and the Niners and Brandon Ayuk aired out all their grievances and things are on good terms again. And he will talk to them after the July 4th weekend. And that's where things stand at the moment. Then we saw a video, actually a couple of videos. We saw a video of Brandon Ayuk driving to the Niners facility. Do you have that video by chance, Steven, we could pull up?
The video driving to the Niners facility?
Have you seen this where he's like playing a song and he's singing it very annoyingly?
Oh, yeah.
You have it?
Or I know the video. I do not have it. Uno segundo. Pull-up game strong today.
Left my wallet in El Segundo.
Left my wallet in El Segundo. Anything would have been better. I had the enchiladas and I ate them. This is Brandon Ayuk.
This my shit, man. This my shit. Open up the motherfucking gate.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. But the way that looks, and I know, I guess he's on good term with the Niners. The way that looks is like he's pissed off and he's about to ram his car into the front gate, like it was something on an airplane, where it's like, he's coming right at us. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's my shit. Open the motherfucking gate.
Lana.
Yeah, what the hell is that song? Ugh.
Open it up.
This my shit, man. This my shit. Open up the motherfucking gate.
I can just see John Lynch being like, "Oh, there's Brandon. Oh my God, get out of the way! Get out of the way! Good God, he rammed his car in front of the gate. He just ran over Sourdough Sam. What are you doing?"
That's my energy. That's the energy I want. I
open the motherfucking gate.
I need this energy.
This my shit, man. This my shit. Open up the motherfucking gate.
Also, we have nothing better to do during June. You see what hat he's wearing?
Yeah.
I saw yesterday he was tracked down at some airport. I tried to look at what airport it was, but if I had to guess, it looks like Burbank. He may be going to LA. Don't know. But TMZ caught up with him and they were like, "So tell us, man, what's the symbol mean with the hat? You wearing a Steelers hat?" And he was like, "Steelers hat? I was wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates hat. Oh, my bad." It's like just how uninformed our society is today.
It's also, that's also a product of just having one of the coolest hats in the league. Not everything has to be a calculation. Like, just because he's wearing a Pirates hat doesn't mean he's going to the Steelers.
No.
Like, Pirates just have a sick logo. Those are sick hats. I actually miss the older ones where they had like the red brim. Those used to be dope.
Yeah, no, they do have sweet hats. Shout out Daryl the Guru Johnson.
Yeah.
But I did listen to Brandon Ayuk's interview with Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor on the Pivot podcast. Have you listened to it, Steven?
I have not.
Okay. Listened to it yesterday, walking around Oakland. And I will say, I think Ryan Clark is very good at his job. He has definitely made a good transition from being a very good player with the Steelers. And I remember while he was playing, he was a guest analyst at ESPN, and he wasn't very hot takey then, but he is now. Having said that, he's very good at what he does. But I will say this. Ryan really does kind of build up the guest whenever they're on. And multiple times he says, "I think you've handled, this whole situation very well. I think that you haven't really said much. Where I'm like, that's a crock of shit. It's a crock of Clark, actually. Brandon Ayuk has not been professional or quiet during these contract negotiations. He may have not made a scene on social media in the context of saying that he wants to be traded, but he has unfollowed the Niners on social media. He has posted many things. It's not necessarily his fault, but his brother and girl have posted many a thing to say that he wants out of there. There was the video of him dancing before the draft when Amon-Ra St. Brown got his contract. He told his brother that in 6 days before the draft, there's going to be fireworks. He did the FaceTime with Jaden Daniels. Let's not act like Brandon Ayuk has been just the consummate professional during this whole thing. That's ridiculous.
No, he hasn't. I think if Ryan Clark were still in his playing days, and let's just say he played for the Seahawks, he would want to hit Brandon Ayuk like he is Willis McGahee, in the I think it was like the 2008 divisional round with the Steelers and the Ravens, where he just cracked them.
Yeah, I got you.
2008, I think. That was just, but you know how the game is, man. You got to butter up the guest.
No, I know. Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone for...
Yeah,
this is what the show's become.
Jesse told me, stop looking at the TV. She's like trying to, give me instruction here. And I'm sorry.
We have to for this one.
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to look for breaking news. All right. She's not here right now. She's not in the apartment. So there you go, Jess, responding via the pod.
There you go. But just real quick on Ayuk. So I listened to the interview and, he entertains the idea of possibly playing with the Commanders or Steelers, which I never liked that. I didn't like it a year ago when DeAndre Hopkins went on podcasts and was like, I would like to go to this team and I would like to go to that team, but I still play for the Cardinals, so it is what it is. At the end of the day, though, I will give him credit. There was times where Ryan Clark was like, do you ever think about if you could play with Jaden Daniels or if you have the type of quarterback? And he's like, let me just stop you there. I do have that quarterback. I do have Brock Purdy, and I look forward to playing with him. I do want to play with the Niners. That is first and foremost. But, and this is the phrase he used, if you want a Ferrari, you have to afford a Ferrari. And he made it abundantly clear that he does not give a fuck about any of their contract negotiations with any of the other players. That's their problem. When they have to pay Brock Purdy, by all means, pay Brock Purdy. But when it comes to me, either you're going to pay me my money or you have to get me to a team that's going to pay me my money. So I didn't come across disliking Brandon Ayuk or anything. I think it's ridiculous, though, the whole notion that he's handled himself, fantastic during this whole time. I think that's stupid.
Sure.
But, I get what he's talking about. Should players care about what their team has to go through salary cap wise? Yes and no. They have to be reasonable and feasible. But I think also, at the end of the day, they got to look out for themselves. So, while listening to the interview, I totally get where Brandon Ayuk is coming from. But also, I think he has to settle for something that may not be in the price range that he's expecting.
I'm also kind of tired of talking about Brandon Ayuk leaving the Niners. Not tired of talking about the situation. But I think we're going to have to take from the podcast name, I think we're going to have to pivot to a whole new discussion.
Yeah, what's that?
That's whether Deebo Samuel is still going to be around in the future. Because the most likely scenario is they're going to come to an agreement, right? They're going to get negotiations done. He's probably not going to get a $30 million per year contract, but he's probably going to get, I'll just say it right now. He's probably going to get a 27.5. That's where I'm going on the AAV. That's my prediction. $27.5 million per year contract. Ayuk's still going to be on the 49ers, but there's going to be other rumors. So I think there's no point wasting our energy on talking about whether Brandon Ayuk will leave the Niners. I think that ship has sailed. At least the talks of that, the discussions of that. I think that's gone. I think Ayuk is for sure going to be a Niner now. All of this is just drama that we don't need in our lives, and we're going to have to be talking about someone else. If that's Deebo, whether that's Kittle. I think Kittle was looking for a new contract too. There was talk of that. There's going to be a lot more, I think, that we can put our energy towards, because I think after all of this, the fact that he wasn't traded before the draft, I think it's kind of a telltale sign that no other teams wanted him for whatever the price point they wanted him for. And he's probably just going to remain with the 49ers.
I agree. I think that I would say both Debo and George Kittle, this may be the last year for both of them. I do think that Brandon Ayuk gets paid. I don't know when. Probably after 4th of July, maybe during training camp. Maybe he holds out. Maybe it's a whole song and dance. But I'm with you, Steven. I think he does probably get $28 million a year. And it was reported, he even brought it up in the interview, that Mike Silver reported that they offered him a $26 million a year contract.
Yeah.
And he said he found that to be disrespectful that was leaked, which I get. I understand that. Who knows? Mike's pretty tight with the brass there, so they may have told him. But yeah, I get you don't want that leaked. It's also interesting in the interview, he did say, this is prior to their meeting, he said, I got a meeting lined up with the Niners with my representation, Ryan Williams. If it does not go well, then it's on to a different team. He did say that. So the fact that we haven't heard that backs up Tom Pelissero's report that the meeting did go well. So maybe things start rolling in the right direction with him.
Mm-hmm. Ernie 2 and AJ Cruz. Ayuk has acted childish. Warner, Kittle, CMC, and Juice have all been professionals with their extensions. And then AJ responded, and they got their extensions by buttoning up their lips and going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my only retort to that would be, I don't disagree that Ayuk has acted childish, because he has. But all those other guys, I mean, they knew they were going to be they were going to be setting the market for their respective position. Ayuk didn't have to. They weren't in the same position as Ayuk is. Like, they didn't have to worry about negotiations. They were just like, yeah, we're going to figure out a number. We're going to figure out the guarantee for you, and we'll get it to you. We're going to pay you. They gave him that. They gave him that guarantee. But Ayuk didn't get that guarantee. So that's why he acted out a little bit more than those other guys. I'll just say.
No, definitely. And let's be real too. Ayuk is going into the prime of his career, and I would say Kittle and Juszczyk and not Debo yet, but those guys, the Niners can afford to get rid of those guys, in my opinion.
When the highest paid tight end before you was Austin Hooper, I think George Kittle was pretty confident that they would be able to eclipse whatever Austin Hooper was making. When there's no one that even comes close to Kyle Juszczyk, maybe it was Patrick Ricard. When no one comes close to Kyle Juszczyk, you have a little bit of breathing room knowing that you're going to get a contract done. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, it goes without saying, you're an offensive player of the year. You have all the leverage in the world. And then Fred Warner was Fred Warner. Like, Fred Warner is one of the best linebackers the 49ers have ever seen. So,
yeah,
I understand that Ayuk is maybe not acting the way that he should with these things, and it may be rubbing people the wrong way, but just to compare him to these other guys on the Niners, I don't think you're comparing apples to oranges there.
I agree. I mean, I think at the end of the day, they want to keep him and they want to pay him, but it needs to be reasonable. It can't be, they don't want to pay him $30 million a year. And I think that's what Ayuk wants. And they're not willing to do that. They don't see him in the same vein as a Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb. Not yet. And I agree with that. I don't think that he's played to that potential just yet. He could. He also said that, this is where, handling yourself as a professional, the way that Ryan Clark made it sound, is not accurate. He did admit that, I guess one tweet he sent earlier this year was, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do the things that got you there, whatever the terminology he used. He admitted that was in reference to him catching 3 passes for 33 yards in the Super Bowl. And there seems to be, like, he likes Kyle, but there seems to be a little disconnect on just how he's used. He wonders maybe if he could do better in a more pass-happy offense. But who's to say that him and Jaden Daniels, the combination would be that fantastic in Washington as it was at ASU? So there seems to be something. He did bring up the fact that he was in the doghouse with Kyle his second year. So I would say that he does want to be a Niner, but there is a lot out there that he's putting out to the public that why he could definitely go somewhere else.
For sure. And I'm not saying, I'm not completely closing the door on it, but I really think that by the time this whole thing is over, by the time we get into this season, we're going to wonder why we spent so much time talking about him leaving when he really just didn't. I think that's what's going to end up.
Because we talked about it with Bosa. We talked about it with Debo. We talked about it with not Kittle, but we always do this during these times. Every year now, since the Niners have had success, they've had a high-profile player want a new deal, and this is the one that's been played out the longest during the draft and free agency. Like the Bosa stuff didn't really kick in until we realized he wasn't showing up for training camp.
Right.
So that could be the case with Ayuk, and I would tell everybody, calm down. I do not think Brandon Ayuk is getting traded at all. That ship has sailed. So I know you said you don't want to close the door on that. I am, because I just don't see it happening. I think they're going to end up paying him, and worst case, he comes back and signs, or doesn't sign anything, but plays on the $14 million that he's owed this season. So I wouldn't be too concerned. I think that the Niners want to win, and they really like Ricky Pearsall, but they're not willing to go all in on him being the guy yet. So I wouldn't be too concerned on Brandon Ayuk's future with the Niners.
Yeah. And also back to your the point about Ryan Clark and the way that he's framing Ayuk and how he's gone about it. God, didn't hang on randomly. Ernie one just said Langford knows about Kyle's doghouse. Didn't I have like a segment with that? I think I had a segment.
I remember that. Yeah, like you're in the doghouse.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. Doghouse. I had the segment called the Doghouse. Genius. God, that was genius. On top of Langford's long balls, boy, Fridays were a must listen.
What was Langford long balls? Just you talking about home runs?
Yeah, my 5 favorite home runs of the week.
Nice. Did you call them dongs?
No, just Langford's long balls.
Yeah, but you gotta call them dongs, baby.
Yeah, I'm sure I called one a dong.
There you go.
Yeah. Talked a lot of Otani dongs. A lot of Otani dongs. But the Ryan Clark thing, we're also entering this new age now where just look at Pat McAfee. These guys aren't gonna. They might have the hot takes on people they know. They aren't going to get guests on their podcast, but if they know that they could create a relationship with them, yeah, they're not going to say anything negatively in that vein. We're entering that new realm now. You see it with Pat McAfee, and I kind of appreciate it, to be honest. I do appreciate it, but yeah, to say that this is that he's gone about this in a very professional manner and handled it the way that anyone should handle this sort of thing, yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, Steven, we are still waiting on Klay Thompson news, any developments in NBA free agency. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that this has not been as wild and rampant as I thought it was going to be.
Well, the latest we've heard is that the Clippers are looking to trade Russell Westbrook.
Which I wonder if he knew that when he opted in. He probably did. But if that's the case, then maybe that was their idea of why they didn't want to trade Chris or Paul George, is that they knew they were going to trade Russell Westbrook to get some compensation for him.
Maybe.
And they did not want to give him to the Warriors.
Tobias Harris is receiving interest from the Pistons, Jazz, Spurs, and Mavericks. So I think you could cross Tobias Harris off that list for the Warriors.
Interesting. Well, Steven, you had a good day watching English football, right?
Oh,
tell us all about it.
Oh my God. I was prepared to say that was like the worst match that I've ever seen England play in a knockout stage. They looked lifeless. Like nobody looked like they wanted to win. And you could tell from the way they were playing that they were cocky because they've made it to the final and the semifinal, and they've reached at least the semifinal stage, I think, in their last 4 major tournaments with Gareth Southgate at the helm. But my God, man, when it was reaching the 94th minute or whatever it was of that game, I'm just like, this team is the hell. This team is one of the favorites. And then Jude Bellingham comes in, this young hotshot who's the next big thing in English soccer, and he comes in and gets the bicycle kick with 30 seconds left to equalize it. And then in extra time. Just as soon as it starts, really, they get the go-ahead goal and kind of just play it safe from there. God, man, this is why soccer is just such a it's a sport you can never get high or never get too low unless you're down by like 2 or 3 goals. But if you're within 1 goal, then anything can happen. And AJ saying Chelsea over everything. Yeah, man, when they brought in Cole Palmer's Chelsea's 21-year-old superstar. When they brought in Cole Palmer to play the wing with, I think he was in there in like the 66th minute. Oh my God. I thought he was going to score. I get very crazy during these things. When after Bellingham hit the bicycle kick, I looked like I was a third base coach waving a runner going home. I was like, bicycle kick, bicycle kick, bicycle kick. Stoked.
Do you get like me during Raider games back in the day?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, a little bit. Not that pissed because I've seen everything and I'm immune to pain in sports. But
really,
maybe I'd have a different take on that had England lost today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm happy for you.
Oh, it's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating because they have like the best players in each league. Like Jude Bellingham is one of the best in La Liga with Real Madrid. They got Phil Foden. They got a front line with Harry Kane, and they only put up 2 goals for the entire tournament, which was just sad. So I still with them, still with my 3 lines, but God, we got a long way to go.
I hear you. Well, while we wait, anything you want to bring up, Steven?
I mean, I got track and field. You want to talk track and field?
Sure.
Sha'Carri Richardson placing 4th in the 200.
Nice.
Not making the Olympic team there. It's a shame.
Well, she's not?
Not in the 200. She is in the 100, but she won't be competing in the 200.
Gotcha. Hang on, we might have something here.
No, we don't.
Oh.
No, we don't.
You don't want to know about
pronounce his name. Pronounce his name. Try it.
I'm trying. Neemias Quita?
I don't know. Neemias Quita?
Yeah. Going to the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Everybody's expecting this to be fast and furious, kind of like the NFL tampering period. I guess not.
Yeah, well, we're live here, and nothing's happened. Wow.
Nothing's happened.
Wow, what a shame.
Standing out, waiting for Klay Thompson to sign. And they waiting, trying for him to do something. And they said, nope, you can't go in there. It's a live, warrior. It will literally rip your face off. Hey, get out here, Klay. You're making me look stupid. And a jerk.
Yeah.
Well, what we could do is we could stop right now, and if there's anything new that happens today, we could come back, depending how late it gets. But for the time being, it sounds like nothing's happening at the moment.
Could do that.
All right. Well, thank you. Here's what the game plan is going to be, guys. We're going to end the show right now. And for the podcast audience, if we come back, we'll continue on. We'll continue the show as one big podcast. I'll put it all together that way. But if we don't come back, then nothing news related happened the rest of the day. So here's the plan. We will come back on if we hear news pertaining to Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors. If we don't get news the rest of the day, then we'll see you guys some other time. If something happens tomorrow, then maybe we could pop on. I'll talk to you about that, Steven, if you have time. Plan after tonight will be we will come back on Wednesday before 4th of July. We usually do a 4th of July show after the hot dog eating contest, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. But sadly, it's not going to be as fun this year without Joey Chestnut because he's going to be doing a hot dog eating contest, an exhibition hot dog eating contest, I guess, with soldiers. Good for him. But we're not going to have the great hot dog eating contest. I wonder how ESPN's going to handle that this year without that big of a star being a part of that broadcast.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it anyway.
Even if Joey Chestnut was going to do it?
Joey Chestnut, it's great, but I'm ready for someone new. I'm ready for someone new.
Okay, fair enough. So you're all about Matt Stoney.
Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in with someone else. But like, I don't know, it's the hot dog eating contest. Kind of got bored of it after a while.
Fair enough. And I think Joey Chestnut at 40 years old wants to get away from eating that much pork. Because, Adam Richman stopped doing the man versus food challenges after a while. Like how long do you think Sean Evans has?
He can't have many episodes left. He's done a lot.
He's got to be a little older than us, probably late 30s. I can't imagine he could do it for that much longer. But who knows?
No.
So, and I saw he's doing like a pistachio nut commercial now, Joey Chestnut. He's trying to eat healthy. He's trying to eat healthier.
Yeah.
So yeah, we won't be doing a post Nathan hot dog eating contest show this year, sadly. But we'll be back on Wednesday night. Before we get out of here and potentially come back if there's any news, I did want to talk about Bronny James getting drafted by the Lakers. And not very surprising. In the grand scheme of things and in hindsight, when I saw the news, I was like, that's bullshit. But I also, acknowledge that it's just a second round pick. It's not the end of the world. But I just feel bad for Bronny and the fact that he wants to do this. By all means, man, if you want to play with your father, I get that. But to have a normal career, I think, is going to be very hard for him because he will be looked at as LeBron James' son playing with LeBron. There's already, I thought it was funny, but there's already the jokes of LeBron sleeping with a teammate's mom.
Yeah.
So, which is clever. But to me, I'm not naive. Like, I know that nepotism is a thing in sports all across the board. It's rampant in every sport. But I just, for Bronny James' growth and maturity, I just thought it'd be best for him to go not play with his dad. But, I guess it's a special thing. You're muted.
Thought he should have played more in college.
Yeah.
I do think that you choose with the 55th pick. I mean, you're essentially throwing at a dartboard blindfolded, right? You're just throwing something and you're hoping that it sticks and you're hoping that you get to something good with the 55th pick. I understand that. But yeah, for Bronny James himself, wouldn't you want to develop more in college? Try to grow and at least become the best player on your own team? Like, do you not have that much belief in yourself to where you could say, you know what? I need to give it a couple of more years before I actually get up to the draft. How can he feel confident going into the NBA when he only put up 4.5 points per game or whatever it was with USC? Like, he's got the athleticism. Don't get me wrong. I think they could probably use that, but kid's just 19 years old. I know you have a dream of going to play with your dad, and that's awesome, but are you really going to play with your dad, or are you just going to sit the bench while your dad does everything?
Yeah, and everything that he does is going to get just dissected. Like the amount of playing time. Like, yeah, I agree with you, Steven. Like, he did not have that great of a college career. And to rush it or just want to go into the pros because your dad's LeBron James, that's the part that I have a hard time with, is that he really is not an NBA talent right now. He should have kept playing at USC and for whatever reason is not wanting to do that. I guess his expectation was that he was always going to play 1 year and then go to the pros, but you're not your dad. So right. I would say that's a missed opportunity there to, keep playing at USC, learn how to be a pro. Instead, he's going to learn on the fly with his dad, which, what's going to happen when JJ Redick, chews him out? If that happens.
That ain't happening.
Yeah, I know. That was stupid when I said that. And also, I will fully acknowledge the irony of me talking about this because I know a lot of people think that I was just, my dad put me on his show to produce his show. And you could think that, fine. But I just think it's different where, if you ask anybody, I've tried to prove that I've not been just totally a product of my dad. Like I like to think that I've done things on my own a little bit. I know that his name helps me a lot, but I would never want to cheat the system in order to get a job. And that's what I think happened with Bronny James a little bit.
For sure. But he obviously had himself a combine where where teams were like, maybe we could do something here with the NBA. I don't really fault teams for doing this. I more just fault him for wanting to actually go through with this and just looking at the history. It's not like he's a Kevin Durant, a Kobe, or his father, where you could come out of high school or just complete your freshman year and then go on to become some star in the NBA. You need some seasoning first. You need to get your feet wet. Maybe do something in the tournament. Play under the the bright lights of the March Madness stage. Maybe do a little bit of that before you go pro. But I just think it's way too quick for him.
And I agree with you, Steven. And also, like AJ Cruz here, Derek got his job based on the Super Reporter jingle. Tell me I'm wrong. You are not wrong, actually. That song definitely helped while I was on here, Middlecoff.
Did it?
Oh, and thank you, Skills. Thank you for the kind words.
Did it?
I think so. I think it showed people I'm creative.
Show people you're weird.
Yeah, and that's fine. Sometimes you got to be weird to be successful.
No, man. I mean, I've told you about this before already, or I've mentioned it anytime this word is brought up within our show. But you proved already that you didn't, just get the job because of your name. You got it because you're very good at what you do. Sometimes.
Yes. Well, thank you, Stephen.
That's all you need is sometimes.
Thank you. But yeah. LeBron James and Bronny playing together, it doesn't bother me that much. It's kind of a cool thing. I get it. But, if it were me, I didn't want to produce my dad's show the rest of my career. So that's why I wanted to go to NFL Network. And that's why I wanted to work with Tom and Adam. But if you're Bronny, I don't know. I think after a while, don't you want to learn the NBA a different way? Do you think your dad has all the answers? He's great. There's no doubt about that. But right. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me.
So Shams has tweeted out a couple of tweets. Andre Drummond, 2-year deal with the 76ers.
Okay.
Woj hasn't tweeted anything in the last 54 minutes.
Damn.
I think
they're scrambling.
He's getting something big.
Oh, you think so? Huh?
I think we are waiting here for the classic Woj bomb. Wojenheimer.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just looking at shit and nothing really popping up at the moment. Could be right, Steven. Could be right. This is a little different than last year. I remember, the Jordan Poole trade happened before the free agency started. I remember that.
Correct.
And then Draymond signed like that when free agency started. So it could be that maybe everybody is playing by the rules and Klay Thompson needs to actually go meet with these teams. So, which really puts a little stranglehold on this whole thing. So,
which also just had to cut his Bahamas trip short, probably. Poor Klay.
I know. He's really gearing up for Team Bahamas.
So, you know what we haven't even talked about yet?
What's that, Steven?
I'm going to continue to try to prolong this because who knows? But we didn't really talk about the Wiggins thing.
Okay.
So them keeping him off Team Canada.
Yes.
They did say it was purely mutual because they don't want him to get hurt. But how hurt has Wiggins really been? He's been known as one of the most durable players. I don't think they're worried about him getting hurt so much with the Olympics. I think they want to trade him, and I think they're trying really hard to trade him. I don't think they're finding any partners, though.
That's 100% what I think it is. I think that they want to keep him healthy, and they don't know how long it's going to take to trade him. So they would like him not to play in the Olympics in case anything were to happen.
Right.
And I think Andrew Wiggins is willing to accommodate that. It sounds like it's a mutual decision that why he's not going to participate in the Olympics. However, I'm sure there's a part of him that's like, you guys are really going to tell me what I can and cannot do when it comes to the off season.
Yeah.
So hang on here.
Oh.
Kevin Porter Jr. has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Kevin Porter Jr.?
Yep.
Wasn't
from the Rockets.
Right. What wasn't that didn't he get in a bunch of trouble?
Was that him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes. Porter previously reached a plea agreement on a 3rd-degree reckless assault misdemeanor in January. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, well, actually, yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Wow. Hotels. Anyway, they got him.
Yes.
Damn. There's really not much going on.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm a little surprised. I thought it'd be kind of fast and furious, like the NFL tampering period, but I guess not.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be Woj and Shams like Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in Fast and Furious 1.
I would say more like The Rock and Vin Diesel, because they actually hated each other.
Right. But at first, Paul Walker and Vin Diesel hated each other
for a brief time. But then, Paul Walker or Brian got shit. Who's my guy in Fast and Furious? Why am I forgetting his name?
What? Dom Toretto?
There we go. Dom Toretto. The Buster got me home. Then he broke his heart when he found out he was a cop in the end. I always tell people Fast and Furious 1 is basically Point Break. It's the same movie.
I think my mic stopped working. It's similar.
Your mic stopped working?
No, it's back on now.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Wasn't, but now it's back on. But
Steven, yeah, I'm with you on Wiggins. I don't know what's he's going to be hard to trade too. We saw the Bobby Portis trade rumors. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't know if anything's going to happen at this point. But I do think that they kept him out of playing in the Olympics because they want to facilitate a trade. Yeah. Seems that way. And before we end the show for now, we'll come back on if there's any breaking news today. But I'll ask you this, Stephen, before we get out of here. Do you think Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors is similar in a sense of Brandon Crawford leaving the Giants?
No.
Why is that?
It would have been similar if Crawford left after the 2021 season, but they gave him the 2-year deal worth $16 million per year, and they knew that he didn't even have it anymore. It was just like a courtesy contract to let him play out the last couple of years. Just go look at his stats now and look at how much time he's actually playing. Like I understand. I get that he felt disrespected by the Giants offer, but I don't think the Giants had any choice. Like, I know that we're on the side of Crawford because he's been there forever, but they gave him that 2-year deal when they shouldn't have given him a 2-year deal. He was great at shortstop, but they could have done something else in that time. So it's similar in that these guys have been a part of this team that's in this generation, but I don't find it similar because I think the Giants actually gave him a 2-year deal, and Crawford should at least be grateful for that because I don't think he deserved it, really.
That's fair. But as far as just like fan favorites, guys that have always been a part of the organization, won championships, is there a similarity?
I think that'd be right there. Because the two guys that you could point to, well, I guess it's a little different because you got a big three. You didn't really have that big three with the Giants that was all kind of staying, or you knew that they'd be lifers. I guess it would be similar if, like, say, Buster Posey were still around and he didn't retire back in 2021, and him and Crawford are just still on the team, or we're still on the team. So I think that there's an attachment we have to those guys. And especially since they Crawford is a Bay Area guy, but felt like Klay was too. Klay took to the Bay Area, embraced it, embraced the music, embraced the culture, embraced the ocean.
Very much so.
And Crawford has just been, I mean, he's an East Bay guy through and through. So, yeah, of course, it's very similar in that way.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it the other day, and we were talking about it on the show, and I feel there's a similarity. I think just as far as I remember earlier this year when it was announced that Brandon Crawford would not be coming back, and pretty much Farhan said that in the end of the year press conference. He wanted to see more of who's the guy that plays shortstop? Not Nick Ahmed, but the guy. Yeah, exactly. So it was. I knew it was coming, but then when the news broke that he signed with the St. Louis Cardinals, people were upset, and then came the article that I believe Brandon Crawford did with Andrew Baggerly, basically saying like, they didn't want me around. I was willing to come back, and Farhan didn't want me to be there. Brandon Crawford seems like he has an issue with Farhan Zaidi. And that rubbed a lot of Giants fans the wrong way because a lot of guys thought that he should just be a lifelong Giant. But I think you agree with this, and I think a lot of fans, that watched this team last year, said it was time. It was time for Brandon Crawford. And you were even saying like he didn't deserve that contract after the 2021 season. So they gave him a courtesy contract for what he did and who he's been. But then, I don't even know his numbers a season ago, but they were not good, and he was not good. And it was time to move on. And that's kind of how I feel things are currently with Klay Thompson, where when the inevitable happens, everyone will be upset. People, and I will be sad. I mean, shit, man, it makes me think about Klay Thompson in his prime with the Warriors is a special time in my heart because it just reminds me of the good days when we were all young, working in 95.7, covering a championship team. Just makes you think of those times and him scoring 37 and a quarter and just all the things he accomplished. I remember I was there for Game 6 at Oracle against the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals, and he was incredible that night. I remember watching him in the Game 6 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's so many good memories, but I don't forget what's happened recently. He has looked bad against the Lakers in the playoff series. He did look bad in the playing game against the Kings. And not to say that he didn't play well last year, but it's inconsistent, and it's not enough for him to get a new deal. So in that instance, yes, it is not the same as Brandon Crawford because the Warriors are not rewarding him for, minimal success the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's best. I mean, like it's just time. And I know whenever it happens, people will be upset and they will be shocked for whatever reason, even though we've gotten all these reports. But it is going to happen. And I think we all need to be prepared for it, and we need to accept it. I think most people have. But that doesn't mean that we can't forget all that Klay Thompson has done and love him just the same. I'm sure his jersey will be retired and, he'll always be a Warrior. But I don't think there's anybody to blame. I don't think you could blame Joe Lacob. I don't think you blame Steve Kerr. I don't think you can blame Mike Dunleavy or Bob Myers, whatever. I just think that nothing lasts forever in sports, and it's time for Klay to move on. And we've talked about how I brought up that commercial where failure, him and Michael K. Williams, he basically says, I've already defeated failure. And I think we haven't seen that Klay Thompson in a long time. When the injuries happened and everything with calling out Jaren Jackson after they won the championship, I thought was weird. Him calling out Devin Booker, him calling out Charles Barkley. You started to care more what people thought about him. And then things got to his head. And I know we all remember him sitting on the bench. There was the rumor that he was on an edible, but I think he was actually crying. And he was upset that he was not playing basketball anymore. So a lot of stuff has gone on in Klay Thompson's life. And if he goes to the Lakers, I'll be pissed. But if that's what he wants, I just want the guy to be happy. I know I've said this before earlier in the podcast. It just seems like things are troubling him so much And I just wish that he got back to happiness. And if that means going to the Orlando Magic or whoever, and then him feeling like he's the man again, then that's all that matters.
What about to the Lakers?
I just said.
You said even if it's the Lakers.
Yeah, if it's the Lakers, I mean, fuck. But yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you feel the same way too? Wouldn't you hate seeing Klay Thompson in a Laker uniform?
Yeah, I'd hate it. I wouldn't be able to stand it. But I think it's interesting, man, because you'll never know this hypothetical. It's kind of like the same thing with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. There's always that argument about whether they would have had like the same careers had one or the other not entered their lives. And the other guy I'm talking about, obviously, is Steph Curry. Would Steph Curry be the 3-point champion? Maybe. But like the fact that him and Klay both at the exact same time started this trend, started this movement. It really started with Mark Jackson, I guess, in 2013, but started this revolution in basketball where the 3-point shot is going to become the new layup, where they're able to get these open looks and they're going to hit them in your face. And you know what? You could come back and you could get your dunk. You could get your sick fundamental turnaround fadeaway jumper. But at the end of the day, that's only going to count as 2 points. And what we're going to do is we're going to make shots that count as 3, and we're going to hit them in your face at an incredibly high rate. I don't think anyone is, I don't think we're ever going to see anything like this again with the Warriors. Not in our lifetimes.
No.
Like, I think we were really in the golden age of Golden State with those guys. Like with everything that came along with it, the story, the rise of the Splash Brothers, Klay being able to do things like score 43 points on 4 dribbles. I think it was against Indiana where he put up 60 on 11 dribbles. We'll never see an efficient night of scoring like that ever again. You know, we might see the Warriors win another championship. I'm not going to say they never won a championship, but as far as this team and that trio, we're not going to see anything like that. I mean, unless you think that we're going to see 7 to 10 straight years of dominant basketball and watching a team that legitimately changed the way the sport is played, creating avenues for guys like Trae Young or Luka Doncic, where you just heave up a bunch of threes. I mean, Luka does a bunch of other things too, but I guess James Harden was kind of a part of that as well. But just the time, the moment, the trio playing together, nothing's going to compare to that, man. Nothing's going to compare to that.
I agree, man. It was great times. And we'll see if Klay Thompson joins the Orlando Magic, but I know one guy that will be. Right now, breaking news, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope intends to sign a 3-year deal, $66 million with the Orlando Magic.
I love Caldwell-Pope because he played with a ankle brace on when he was under house arrest for the Lakers. It's the best.
Yeah, so we'll see if more teams or more guys want to join the Orlando Magic with the cap space they have. But yeah, man, it'll be very interesting to see what happens once Klay Thompson makes his decision.
That's interesting, though. I think the Warriors were linked to KCP for a bit.
They were, if he was going to, I guess, opt in, because I don't really know the whole salary cap situations. Basically, what I've been told is it's going to be very hard for the Warriors to do any free agency signings, except for like minimal stuff. So they got to make some trades. So to cover everything,
Gary Trent Jr. dog.
All right, man. We'll be looking out for Gary Trent Jr. So to recap everything as it stands at the moment, Klay Thompson officially a free agent at the moment. Does not seem like. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Does not seem like.
Ooh,
Jesus.
Can we get a fourth?
No, we're good. It appears that he's going to meet with the Lakers, Mavericks, Nuggets, and Sixers, and maybe the Magic as well. Did I already say the Magic? No, I said Mavericks. Anyway, Paul George not going to the Warriors either. Free agent. We'll see if he goes to the Clippers, 76ers, or the Magic. LeBron James has opted out. He's currently a free agent right now as well. But all signs are that he's going to go back to the Lakers, but he's pushing hard for Klay Thompson to be a Laker. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. And I know I've said this before, but now we'll make it final. We're going to end things today as they currently stand. If nothing breaks, then this is the show for today. If we hear anything about Klay Thompson or the Golden State Warriors, we will pop on, time permitting. Steven's got to get to bed early, which I get. If Klay Thompson signs tomorrow or Tuesday or before we plan on doing a show Wednesday, then chances are me and Steven will make the time and we will pop on here when appropriate and talk about Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
But until that time, this is it. And we'll see you guys when we're back on Wednesday. And I need to know for the future when we do these shows and the sun is as bright as it is, I got to put the shades on because it is bright as hell in this room right now.
Or the sunscreen. At least you're getting a lot of natural light.
I know. Well, I do go on walks, Steven.
Well, I'm just saying, it's good to have natural light in your apartment.
Pale. I'm not that pale. I know it looks like that on the stream and everything, but I'm not that pale.
I'm not saying you're pale. I'm just saying it's good to have some natural light in your apartment. I am complimenting your apartment layout.
Thank you. Do you open the curtains usually for your place?
I got them open right now, dog.
Yeah, man. Let the sunlight in. I know when I was younger, I have be in darkness while watching TV. My mom was like, "Let the sunlight in," and now I agree. Let the sun shine. All right. So, as I said, Klay Thompson, nothing new at the moment, but if anything changes, we'll be back on. Thanks everybody in the chat. We may see you soon. We may see you on Wednesday. Until that time, Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man. Damn it, free agency. Stupid.